The Mirror Trap series are a group of trap cards that have the ability to do something terrible to the opponent if they haphazardly declare an attack. The first mirror card and the progenitor to all its descendants, spin-offs and variations was the iconic trap Mirror Force. Mirror Force first appeared in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime and manga during a duel between Yugi and the bug-obsessed Weevil Underwood.
The power of my Mirror Force trap card!
Hold your fire!
Too late, Weevil. You already ordered your attack on my Dark Magician, and Mirror Force will deflect it right back at you!
In the show, this card was revealed to have the deadly effect of punishing duelists who overextend by leaving too many monsters in attack position by destroying all attack position monsters the opponent controls. However, did you know, during its earliest appearances, specifically Season 1, it could also inflict life point damage alongside the destruction.
My life points are devastated!
Yes!
However, this effect would disappear after the Duelist Kingdom arc, most likely because during Duelist Kingdom, you could kind of make up your own rules. In fact, Mirror Force would pop up several more times throughout the original series, and would even make appearances outside of the original series. In fact, it would make an appearance in every single sequel series to Yu-Gi-Oh! Something that no other trap card in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game has ever done. It has appeared in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. And, while there's nothing yet for Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s, it's early days. Give it time. Now, something I'd like to mention about the first time Mirror Force was used in the anime. What is the legality of what Yugi does here?
My army of insects just keeps getting bigger. I'm going to wipe out all your monsters in one bug blitzkrieg.
That's right, Weevil. Put all your monsters on the field. That's exactly what I'm counting on. He's so busy bragging, he's not paying any attention to my moves. Maybe I can set a little trap of my own.
Face it, Yugi, I've got you pinned down.
He kind of sets Mirror Force really on the sly here. Didn't really ask for a response or anything. I don't know, it just seems kind of shady. I don't know. You guys let me know. What did you think about Yugi's play here? Was it okay? Should he have asked Weevil for a response to his set card? Moving over to the real world, Mirror Force would serve as a powerful card for many years, and due to its popularity, it would spawn 7 offspring that each follow an elemental theme. Think of it as the original Mirror Force fusing with one of the 7 Yu-Gi-Oh! Attributes to produce a new unique mirror effect, which also inherits the will of the attribute. What do I mean by that? Well, for instance, fire attributes, well, they love to deal burning effect damage. Well, so does the Fire Mirror Force. Pretty cool. And for those that don't know, the flavors these variations come in are water, earth, fire, wind, light, dark, and divine. But that's not all. The original Mirror Force would also receive several watered down versions, a couple of support cards too, and a lot of cards inspired by it. So, now we know a little bit more about these cards, let's take a look at all of them, starting with Mirror Force, known in the Japanese as Holy Barrier, Mirror Force. Its effect is when an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters. Mirror Force would make its first debut in the 2002 pack Metal Raiders, which, looking at its original release's effect, you could say that this card has had a nerf over the years, as back then, you could negate the initial attacking monster before blowing everything up. Some of you might be saying, well, negating an attack doesn't mean too much, since you're most likely going to blow it up anyway, so what does it matter? Well, what that extra negate meant was that it could stop certain monsters that are immune to destruction, something like Azurai's Silver Dragon, for example, or even a monster that can attack while in defense position. Think the Super Heavy Samurai archetype. Many imitation cards would appear throughout the years of this card, trying to replicate its abilities. Some of the English names do give this away, the Japanese ones more so sometimes. For instance, we have Mirror Wall, which is known in the Japanese as Silver Screen Mirror Wall. We have Mirror Mail, which takes the naming scheme of Mirror Force by being called Holy Armor Mirror Mail in the Japanese, Kwakimeru Shield, Froggy Force Field, Blackwing Backlash, and there's several more. We're not going to go into all of them, there's loads. However, actual proper support for this card would eventually arrive, oddly in the form of a fusion monster.
I'll merge the Fang of Critias with Mirror Force! Mirror Force Dragon!
When combined, Miraforce Dragon can destroy all cards the opponent controls, if a monster is targeted for an attack or by an effect. We see more of this monster used by Kaiba in the anime, as it was a union between Kaiba's legendary dragon and one of Yu-Gi-Oh's iconic trap cards. However, if we're being technical, this card doesn't really support Miraforce. No, in fact, real actual support would appear a whopping 16 years after the card's initial release, which would come in the 2018 pack Cybernetic Horizon in the form of Miraforce Launcher. Its effect was, once per turn during your main phase, you could discard one monster, add one Miraforce from your deck or graveyard to your hand. If this set card is destroyed by your opponent's card effect and sent to your graveyard, you can set this card from your graveyard and one Miraforce from your hand, deck, or graveyard. They can be activated this turn. The real beauty of Miraforce Launcher was that it could add any Miraforce card to the hand. This included its elemental offspring, which we might as well cover now. Let's see if their effects match their elements, shall we? First up, we have the water-imbued Miraforce, Drowning Miraforce, known to the Japanese as Ripple Barrier, Wave Force. Its effect is, when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, shuffle all your opponent's attack position monsters into the deck. We have the Earth-imbued Miraforce, Quaking Miraforce, known to the Japanese as Sandstorm Barrier, Dust Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, change all your opponent's attack position monsters to face-down defense position. Monsters changed to face-down defense position by this effect cannot change their battle positions. We have the Fire-imbued Miraforce, Blazing Miraforce, known to the Japanese as Karma Flame Barrier, Fire Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy as many attack position monsters your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, take damage equal to half the combined original attack of those destroyed monsters. Then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the damage you took. The Wind-imbued Miraforce, Storming Miraforce, known to the Japanese as Divine Wind Barrier, Air Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, return all your opponent's attack position monsters to the hand. The Light-imbued Miraforce, Radiant Miraforce, known to the Japanese as Flashing Barrier, Shining Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack while they control 3 or more attack position monsters, destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls. The Dark-imbued Miraforce, Dark Miraforce, known to the Japanese as Wicked Barrier, Dark Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, banish all defense position monsters your opponent controls. Finally, we have the last Miraforce variant, which kind of breaks the mold, and that's the Divine Imbued Miraforce, Shining Silver Force, known to the Japanese as White Silver Barrier, Silver Force. I know what you're thinking. The name's wrong. It doesn't have Miraforce in there. Well, the English name for some reason dropped the mirror, instead replacing it with silver. I have no idea, because of the Japanese name, it keeps its naming scheme. It still has a barrier in there, and it still has a force in there. So technically, it's still a part of this archetype. Its effect is activate only when your opponent activates a trap card that inflicts damage. Negate the activation of that card and destroy it and all face-up spell and traps your opponent controls. Now this card you have to work a little bit harder to associate it with Divine, but if we look at the card's artwork, it is quite heavenly in nature, and the fact that it is the only Miraforce that is a counter trap card, which we all know is the fastest and most powerful of all the trap cards. By that logic, you could say it is the trap equivalent of a god, thus it is the divine influence Miraforce. I feel like my logic makes sense, I'm gonna go with that. And I think with that is the Miraforce archetype done. I want you guys to do 2 things in the comments. 1, rank the Miraforces in terms of power, your own personal preference. And 2, which is your favorite named Miraforce in the Japanese and English as well? For me, I think it's going to be Sandstorm Barrier Dust Force. Such a cool name. I like it. Before we go, let's give a huge shout out to the people that help make these videos possible. Thank you firstly, as always, to the platinum backers that give a little bit extra. Nemochan77, Geeks Cornucopia, and Omar Lopez. Thank you 3 very much. I really appreciate it. As well to my YouTube and gold backers, Michael Wojtlowski, Silver Defender, Goosey Q, Joseph Y, Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, Jerry Pontier, Kobe Selvaniagam, Queen Elizabeth Denise Leggin. As well, thank you to all my silver backers too. Everyone, thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching. Catch you all later. Bye everyone.